Hello. This week is spring break, so I'm embarking on a trip to Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Going to hit 5 national parks and maybe some other things along the way as well. I'm going to see Petrified Forest National Park, White Sands National Park, Carlsbad Caverns, Guadalupe Mountains National Park, and Big Bend National Park, all the way down into Texas. And then it's going to be an 18-hour drive back to Utah for me. But I think it'll all be worth it. So it should be a pretty epic week. Looking forward to showing everybody what I'm doing. I'm at Four Corners Monument, so hopefully gonna be able to stand in 4 states at the same time. Let's see if this is worth it. Standing in 4 states at once. Arizona, there's Utah, there's Colorado, there's New Mexico. Pretty cool. There's the circle. Well, this was half an hour out of my way, but I guess it was worth it to be in 4 states at once. I definitely wouldn't make a special trip here, but if you're on your way to somewhere else, pretty much worth it. A lot of people here. Not too bad because it's April, but I bet in the summer it's terrible. So take that for what you will. It's a fun place to be for a few minutes. Check this out. I was driving from Four Corners to Petrified Forest, and this was just what I saw on the side of the road. There's a little pull off here, but I thought this was an amazing view, so I wanted to stop and get some video of it. Not the kind of thing you see every day, especially this right here. This formation I thought was amazing. I'm at Petrified Forest National Park. Park's not open yet. I'm a little early, but looking forward to this. I wanted to come to this place for a long time, so we'll see what it's like. This is called the Painted Desert here at Petrified Forest National Park. By the way, this is my 37th national park. Still got a bunch to go, but this is right in the beginning, so this is pretty cool so far. There's another viewpoint of the Painted Desert. It's pretty cool, especially down here. The good thing too is it's not too crowded here on April 2nd. Although it is a Sunday, so there probably will be a lot of people here. Right, here's another viewpoint. Try not to bore you with too many of these, but I think this is really, really cool. One last view of the Painted Desert here, and then we'll go down to where the Petrified Wood is. But this is really cool. You can hike down in there, but there's no trails, and I don't really know where I'm going, so I don't want to go down there and get lost. And there's plenty of other things here to do, so here we are. This is a 1922 Studebaker, because Route 66 used to go through this park. So where I'm standing right now used to be part of Route 66. Pretty cool. But now Interstate 40 is over there, so no more Route 66. This is Puerto Pueblo, an ancient Native American village. The ruins are here. Pretty cool. The city used to house 200 people. These were called petroglyphs. These were all over the park. Petroglyphs are the way ancient Native Americans used to communicate using pictures. So there was some on this rock. Here's another one that has a disturbing picture of a bird carrying away a person. I don't know what that means, but these were all fascinating, I thought. This next clip right here, this one's called Newspaper Rock. This one had over 600 petroglyphs on it. So it looks like the whole town was using it, or the whole village. It was using this as their news source, so that's why it's called Newspaper Rock, because they would go and congregate and look at the pictures and learn the news of the day. This is the way they did it back in the 12 or 1300s. So we weren't allowed to go down to Newspaper Rock, but we were only able to view it from the top, so there it is. There is the first petrified wood I'm seeing at this park. There's actually some more down there. Pretty cool. This is actually called the Blue Mesa. I'm going to be hiking around here pretty soon. There's a 2-mile hike I can do. Oh, there's some more wood down there. Alright, let's get this hike going. See why this is called Blue Mesa. Look at those colors. Very bluish. do a little hike down there, see what it's like. Look how cool this is. I didn't have high expectations for this park, but it's actually really cool. A lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a bunch of wood that was petrified into rocks, but there's a lot more to it than that. This is a cool hike so far. Bunch of petrified wood. It's like it slid down when it was a flood or something. Here's a view from the top from where I just hiked. It's beautiful. It's blue. I've never really seen blue rock like that before. I was in the Badlands of South Dakota. It has a similar formation, but Badlands was all gray. This has definite blue hues to it. Very nice. It's called Crystal Forest. There is a ton of petrified wood here. Probably a lot more than a ton. But it's all over. There's a lot of big pieces. I mean, this is huge. And it looks like wood, but it's rock. It's amazing. That's why it's called Crystal Forest, because the wood has these crystals in it. They said it's quartz. I'm not sure if it's actually quartz, but why would they lie? The size of these logs. I mean, they're like 4 feet in diameter. Huge. And this one, sliced up. The one over here is sliced up. Wow. Looks like somebody actually chopped it, but it's natural. It's called the Giant Logs Trail. It's right behind the Rainbow Forest Visitor Center. You can see why it's called Giant Logs. There's some giant logs. So let's have a look. This is the biggest petrified log I've seen. This stump end's taller than me, and I'm 6'2". I mean, I'm reaching up for this. It's gotta be at least 7 feet high. This thing is huge. And it's all rock. This is the overlook at the top of the Giant Logs Trail. Not overly exciting, but it's only about not even a quarter-mile walk up here, I don't think. Because you can see the roof of the visitor center down there. That's where it came from. So, did see some. I did see some giant logs on here, though. You can see some down there. This is my last trail of the day here at Petrified Forest. Last thing I'm doing today. So this is the Long Logs Trail. Should be about 2 miles. Not too bad. Looks like it's mostly paved, so we'll see. There's some logs up there. Okay. This is called Agate House. It's a reconstruction of an old Native American building, a couple of buildings. They used to live here, but it is a reconstruction. It isn't original. They reconstructed it in the 1930s, so it was leveled before that. But it is beautiful. Look at all those colors in there. So anyway, since it's a replica or a reconstruction, I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going to head over to the Long Logs Trail. This was like a side trail off of it, and then I'm going to head out. So one more to go. Just look at the colors in there. It's amazing. Oranges and purples and yellows. And there's a lot of them. It's really beautiful. And the scenery behind it ain't bad either. So that's Petrified Forest National Park. I give it a big thumbs up. I thought it was a really cool park. So many beautiful things to see. And the cool thing about it is you can do it all in one half day, really. I've only been here like 4.5 hours. And I basically did the whole park, and that's including doing the Blue Mesa Trail and this Long Logs Trail that I just did. So definitely worth it. And the other good thing is it's right off of I-40, Interstate 40. So if you're traveling along Interstate 40, you can just get off here, spend a few hours, and then be on your way. So definitely worth seeing. I really liked it a lot. Now I need to make a 6-hour drive to Alamogordo, New Mexico. I'm staying at a cheap motel tonight and then going to White Sands National Park tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Made it to White Sands National Park here in New Mexico. So nice and early, 8 a.m. So I'm gonna do a couple hikes and see the dunes. Should be interesting. So what I did was drove all the way to the end of the park, which wasn't that far actually. It's a pretty small park, but I'm gonna take the Alkali Flats Trail, which is over there. It's about 5 miles, strenuous, so I want to do that first, get it out of the way before it gets too hot. Beginning of April, it shouldn't get too hot, but it might get pretty warm. So I'm gonna do that first and then backtrack my way through the park and see the rest of it. So here we go. Here we go, Alkali Flat Trail. It says 5 miles. So, and from what I understand, it's anything from foot flat. So I don't know why it's called Alkali Flat. There we go. Okay, climbed up my first dune. It's pretty amazing. How was it? Great sand dunes a couple years ago in Colorado. But this one's cooler because the sand is just white. It's amazing. And it's so fine, the sand. Really cool. This is less of a trail and more of a find the next post, next signpost, so you know where to go. Still pretty awesome. It's gonna be a lot of hiking up and down dunes, so I brought trekking poles. See? Because that way it makes it easier to climb up those dunes. If you're old like me, you need to bring trekking poles to this hike. It's cool how it makes these ripples too in the sand. Feels like I'm walking through the Sahara. Well, I'm sure the Sahara is about 1,000 times bigger than this. Now that I'm away from the parking lot, I really only see 2 things: sand and mountains. That's about it. I don't even see any other people. Wait, there's one guy over there. Other than that, completely alone. Gotta love the solitude. Let's press on. This is kind of a strenuous trail. It's not terrible so far, but you gotta be in decent shape to do it, I think. This one's gonna be fun. Nice and steep. And it's sand, so I'll be sliding backwards. Here we go. Made it. And the view from up here is incredible. Dunes and mountains, as far as the eyes can see. Whew. Time to press on. There's the trail that way. It's so quiet here. I hear nothing. Nothing. This is the end of the trail, or at least the top of the loop, and then it loops back the other way. But this over here is the White Sands Missile Range. That's where they test missiles. So I'm not about to walk over there because it says unexploded munitions right there, so don't really feel like getting blown up today. So I'm gonna go back this way. It continues down there. So, but that's interesting that They blow things up out here. Not today though, I hope. Also, apparently this used to be a lake. Actually, a glacier deposited all this sand here and left a lake. And then when the lake receded, we got all these sand dunes. So that's pretty cool. There's some natural history for you. Look how fine this sand is too. It's like powder. Oh, there's a fly. That fly already bit me once. It's the first bug I've seen since I've been out here. That's the advantage of coming in the beginning of April, not a lot of bugs. And not a lot of people. And then you get to spots like this where there's no posts to be found whatsoever. That's the one I just came from. But now I don't know where to go. I'm going to follow these footprints that are leading up the hill over there. Hopefully that's right. Hopefully those people knew what they were doing. We'll find out. And this explains why I couldn't see the next post. So I see more over there. So I think we're good. I'm gonna try and put this one back up to help other people because I'm that nice, and then I'll move on. Hopefully that'll hold. Let's go. You gotta wonder how that little bush right there grew on that dune all by itself. There's no other plants even anywhere around it. I mean, there's some a couple hundred feet away on a couple of sides, but that's pretty weird. Anyway, it must be a super plant. And this is what you get when you hike 5 miles on sand dunes. I actually thought it'd be more than that. Those lines right there are from people sledding down the hills, or down the dunes. You can actually rent sleds at the visitor center. I decided not to do that because I don't want to end up with underwear full of sand. Well, that was a great trail, very unique. Wasn't too strenuous, but a lot of up and down the dunes. All trail says about 4.7 miles. I mean, it clocked in about 4.7 miles. The elevation gain said 123 feet, but that's very deceptive because you're going up and down the dunes the whole time. So there was a lot more elevation gain than that. But it was a really great trail. Really enjoyed it. I drank about 2 liters of water. So if you're coming in the summer, I'd bring a lot more than that. Also, this was the perfect time of year to come. It's April 3rd today, and the weather's perfect. No clouds, hardly any bugs, not that many people, and it's around 65 degrees, so that's about 18 degrees Celsius. Perfect weather. If you come in the summer, it's probably gonna be a lot hotter. So don't take your spring break in Florida. Take it at White Sands National Park in New Mexico. It's way better. So a lot of the roads in the park are like this. They're packed sand. They're not paved, but it's almost like driving on pavement. So pretty much any car could go down this. You don't need an SUV or a 4-wheel drive or anything, as long as it's not wet. I think if it was wet, it would be bad. But anyway, this is the only road that goes through the park. It's not a huge park, but really interesting park for sure. It's all these dunes all over the place. And this part's a little more sandy, but I think any car could handle it. I'll do one more hike while I'm here. It's called the Interdune Boardwalk. Actually, you can put wheelchairs on and stuff. It's accessible, but it goes out into the dunes. There's a couple other smaller hikes here too, like the Playa Trail, but they're not going to be as interesting as the last one, as the Alkali Flats. So just going to try this one and see what it looks like. This one's a lot more crowded than the other one, but take a look. It's about half a mile total. It's not too long. As you can see, it's an aptly named trail. It's a boardwalk that leads out into the dunes. So we'll see what happens at the end. A lot of people here, and it's a Monday in April. I can imagine what it's like in the summer. But it is very cool. The thing I like about it, it allows people that are in wheelchairs to see the dunes and get out into the dunes. So that's really cool too. So this is the view from the end of the boardwalk. Very nice. Got a lot of these interpretive signs too. You can read about the park, like these. Okay, so wasn't really much else to see at White Sands National Park. So I'm going to try to go see Bridal Veil Falls, which is in Lincoln National Forest. Here's the trail that I'm on. It says it's a mile and a quarter to get to the trailhead. It's supposed to be like a 7 or 8 mile hike, semi-difficult, but I have time, so let's give it a shot. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so let's see what happens. I mean, here you can see I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I guess there are a few houses down there, but anyway, let's give this a shot, see what happens. So the trail to the Bridal Veil Falls, where I wanted to go, was closed. Thank God some guy was coming the other way, nice guy from Texas, and told me that it was closed. So he suggested I come down this way, which is the other direction. And there's this old railroad trestle here, and it's gonna lead down to a creek. He said the creek was beautiful, so let's check it out. But this railroad trestle is pretty cool. And this surrounding view is really cool too. Like this is the Sacramento mountain range. Hopefully I didn't just make you dizzy with that 360-degree spin there. Okay, let's go check it out. There's the creek right here. That is pretty. So I was just reading about this at the top there. It said this train trestle was built in the 1890s. Trains used to come down from that mountain right there and then come across this train trestle. It would go from Sacramento to Alamogordo, New Mexico. It was the old train line. Obviously not in use anymore, but piece of history right here. Pretty cool. So I left Salado Canyon and I was just driving to my next destination, and I came across this on the side of the road. This is called Mexican Canyon. It has a huge railroad trestle from back when the railroads used to run through this area. I thought this was just amazing to see this right on the side of the road. Didn't even have to do any hikes or anything. It was just right there. So awesome. So my take on White Sands National Park is it's a nice park. I enjoyed it. But the best part of it was the Alkali Flats Trail. And if you don't do that, you're really missing out, because that really takes you deep into the dunes, and you can see a whole lot of dunes that you don't see just from driving up and down the road and from the other little side trails that I didn't even do. The Inner Dune Boardwalk was cool. I enjoyed that, but it really doesn't give you the depth that you get by going on the Alkali Flats Trail. So I highly recommend doing that if you're up for it. It is 5 miles and it's kind of strenuous, but it took me about 2 hours. Not too bad. So I enjoyed the park, but again, it doesn't take a full day. I was there about 3-4 hours, and I think I saw everything I needed to see. So I'm off to Carlsbad Caverns tomorrow. I'll put that in the next video. So I'm really looking forward to that, because that's supposed to be really cool. So we'll see you then, next video.